Good day, guys. Good morning. Good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. Let's get started. So today we're going to start with hey bro, how are you? Thanks for joining, man. Today we're going to start with C300. So they've been retracing, but I don't think I want to look at it much because I'm not actively trading it this week. So we're just going to quickly jump to C1. C1, I was happy we managed to catch the sell yesterday in here. Price came back again to the equal highs to the same order block here, and the same pattern happened here, a break and a retest, and they sold again to the same area. So today, what could most likely happen is I still want to lean on sells, but let's see if the daily chart is in line with what we want. So from the daily, okay, let me just do this quickly. Okay, going to the daily. So we can see we had a nice rejection candle yesterday, right here, in a zone which was just tapped like we anticipated. So I feel like this is a retracement on the daily for a continuation to the upside all the way to this zone here. So I think sells are valid. We should actually be looking for sells on that retracement. So let's quickly check if the other time frames are giving us a sell opportunity. We've got an M pattern on the H4, although this pattern for me, I'm not really happy with this because here after this rejection, you see we pushed up. So here we've got another sort of rejection. We might push up, but again, still leaning on sells. So let me check the 3-hour. Okay. If we can push up here, I think we can get a sell. Most likely based on the 3-hour. On the 2-hour, okay, 2-hour broke below the 13. Looks like we're rejecting the 13 EMA now. So there's two possible scenarios here. Either price will sell from CMP, from current market price, or they will push up a bit into this area which are marked here. So this area is just based off these two candles. This for me is order block or a supply zone, so we can potentially get sells from this area. So that's how I'm looking at it for now. So the safe sells, if we do react here, I cannot sell here because I don't have a guarantee they will come down until they break this area. So I would say the safe sell is around 62, 62, 65. If we close below 62, 65, I'll consider selling from here. The TP will be open. I will just see how far it goes down to the downside. So this is a point of interest for a safe sell, which is a break of this area. Then this area is valid for, it's a point of interest for a potential sell limit. So that's on 63.10. So we've got 63.10 here, point of interest for sells. And again, they can still come up again into this broken zone. So let me just mark the full range. The okay, so that's on 63.28. 63.28 and 63.10. So that's a sell zone right there. It's a sell zone where price can come into. Then from here, we'll just look for a pattern on the smaller time frame. Then we are going to execute. So we need a rejection candle from this zone first before we sell. We're not going to use sell limits. We need price to show us that it's rejecting first. then we can execute. So from 63.10 to 63.28, if we get nice price action here, we look for a pattern and we sell. If they don't get to this area and they decide to drop from here, we're going to use 62, 65. We need a close below that zone, then we're going to sell, looking for a continuation down. So we'll be looking for price to break this low, break today's low, and potentially retest that same area and push down. That's my current view on C1. If they decide to break this area and push up, that will be another setup forming. I'll still be leaning on sales though, but I'll just see if we can get a pattern to confirm that sell trade. So that's my view on C1000. C500 gave us a setup yesterday. Gave us a drop, retraced, they gave another drop. But if you notice, they still didn't come below this order block, meaning the uptrend was still pushing, like we mentioned, based on the daily chart. So you can see, although we had this candle the previous day, we were still open to buy, because as long as we're trading above the 13 EMA, we're still strong bullish. So the sales were short term. We managed to catch them at the top here, somewhere in there. So price is continuing to push up. So here, I still want to see what they want to do. Let me look to the left, because if you notice, liquidity has been taken out and they haven't stopped out any buy stops here. So let me just do this. Let's see what we have to the left-hand side. Okay, so I would say I've got these two candles here. This is a supply zone from my point of view. So if we get into this area here, we can potentially get some spikes. So this is not I don't think it's a strong zone. Why I'm saying so is because after the zone was created, we didn't get price coming into it for since December, January. Now we're in Feb. So I don't think it's a strong zone. It would have been strong if price had retested at least once. We would have been anticipating another rejection. So price can just react, but then continue pushing up. So it's just an area we're going to use for just to get a few spikes or an intraday reversal if price gets into this area today. And at the same time, we're looking at a possible retracement here. Again, for a continuation up here, retracement here for a continuation up until price gets to the 200 EMA on the daily. So we're still bullish. Let's see if we've got any points where we can get some sales. I don't see anything here. I had marked this area when price was somewhere here, so this was a safe area for sales, but as you can see, this peak has been violated, meaning this zone is now invalid. If price creates a new peak, the new zone will be here, so it will be more like this. So I don't have anything too solid for now on C500, but I'm going to leave it on the H1 so that I can just notice if I'm having an intraday reversal or reversal candles. Like yesterday, you can see the first sign of a reversal was here, but we had no retest of a zone here. Then the second point of interest was this one. Price slowdown gave a nice bearish engulfing, and we had a sell limit. I remember we had 60, we had 35. Was it this one or it was C? I think it was C1, where we had, there was a limit which had a 14 in it. Let's see if it was this one. Yeah, 35.14. If I'm not mistaken, we had a sniper entry here, but at some point I sort of doubted because I thought they would bounce off this previous day's high and continue pushing up. So I advise people to trade with caution. But again, it played out here, a clean drop, and we took profit. So today we're more or less looking for the same thing. So we need to leave the chart on H1 so that we can get that reversal candle, then look for a pattern to actually sell this one. Then B5, I'm skeptical to buy it now. Yesterday I bought it, but I realized my buy yesterday was a bit early and there was no clear price action here on H1. As you can see, the candles from the open, the candles were just choppy. So this was a very wrong setup which I had yesterday and it took me out. So today it's more or less the same pattern. Like we're creating higher highs. That's why I was also anticipating this. But today I've noticed price came all the way into this zone, came all the way into the zone. This is a retest area, this red line here. This is also a zone. They could accelerate and we could miss the trade. That's possible. But for us not to miss that trade, I feel like we can look at this. So first, this reaction showed me that price was coming down. Right, that's why I was also not really keen on the buys. But today, now I'm seeing this daily candle is promising to push to the upside. That's why I'm getting my buying bias. So H4, we're trading about the 13 EMA. We might come back to this week's highs. But B5, I also don't want to really commit on it for now because I've got 2 points of interest now. I've got the broken order block here, which has not been retested. I've got a demand zone here, which has not been retested. And there's no stop hunt below this area here. I don't see a clean stop hunt. So I feel like two things can happen. Either price will accelerate up, or they'll still come tap us in, then push up, or they might come here, then push up, or they might just continue going down. Those are possible plays. Buying from here, I'm not really keen because of these areas of interest and no stop hunt here. So I don't really want to commit on any buy because they might just spike it, then still push down. Especially after seeing yesterday's move, I'm like, I don't think I want to enter at current market price. Because here, this is where the entry was. But again, entry was too early. No close above the zone until we got here. But still, there was no follow through. Price just came down for some reason. So I don't think I want to buy at current market price. I would rather wait for fresh price action here before I execute. But at the same time, I feel like this price is coming up here. So that's around 51, 45, 51, 45. Yesterday we were looking at 51.60 as the target, which is somewhere around these highs here. So we could get updates possible, but I don't have a clean setup supporting that trade. So from current market price to the top here, it's 40 pips. From current market price to the first point of interest is 30 pips. So if we are to buy here, stop loss is to come below this range. That's the safest area. So it will still be too far to have a stop loss, which is like 25 pips. And sometimes with the way B5 moves, I would rather wait. If you just look to the left, just look at previous price action, you can see here, even though we had a safe buy here, price still dragged back all the way down just to interact with the 50 EMA here. So if they do the same thing here, they might just come and take us out. So I'd rather look for buys here, look for buys here, or look for buys here. Anything up here for now is not too solid unless I get another pattern a bit later in the day. So I'll advise on this a bit later. Again, yesterday's high is close by. Let's see. Yeah, so right now we might just tap into yesterday's high, then we might get a reversal, then price might then push up. So for now, I don't have anything too clean unless price comes down to this zone. So I'm looking at 5070 as a point of interest, not a buy limit, just a point of interest. If we get a reaction, then we can look for a pattern, then we can buy. So that's my only view on B5. 500 today. Then B1000, I remember we're looking for buys at the touch of the moving average, which was right here. This is where we took buys. They touched here. I saw an order block here. So I was looking for price to push up. You can even see I had prepared. I was preparing. Once you see these lines, you know I'm preparing to scale in. As they break and retest, I scale in, and this was the target. But price again on B1, they took us out right here. I was monitoring it closely. As much as I wanted a buy, they didn't give us the buy. But at the same time, when we were having the Zoom, I'm not sure if you noticed, I marked the 13 EMA on the daily as also a point of interest, and I put a red line around that area, which was here. So when they got here, they tapped it, extended it, then they continued pushing down. So this would still qualify as a good setup if you're following price and what price is doing. Because price, sometimes they react slightly above a moving average, right on a moving average or slightly below. So this was an example where they came below. This was the peak, and this was the order block. So if you notice from where the order block is, it's right on the 13 EMA. So the safe entry would have been around this area, taking profit on this level or on the 200 EMA. Then today we're looking for a continuation. So before we get to today, I still want to put emphasis on the daily charts. If we zoom in, you see there's the 13 EMA I was talking about. So I just anticipated it would be somewhere around here. So you see price got there, did a little spike. Then from there, they started pushing up. So this could mean two things. It could mean we still bullish and this is just a reaction. But we will only know for sure after the daily candle closes today. So after it closes, it will give us a bias for a trade or for a setup for tomorrow. Otherwise, today, the trade we might have is short term because we're still not sure. Maybe they just want to react in this area and continue pushing down. We don't know for sure. Maybe they are respecting this and they want to push up. We don't know for sure. So if we are going to trade this today, H4 shows me a peak and a broken order block here. So H4 is looking like this. So this would be my zone right there, right? So we spiked above. We didn't really close above it yet. So from a higher time frame perspective, using the same pattern we use from a smaller time frame, this trade is still very, very, very low probability, and we cannot buy it yet until we close above 14,250. Soon as we close above 14,250, I feel this price should push up. At the same time, you see the reason, I think the reason we didn't close above, we've got the 13 EMA, so price has to react. So they might come back and bounce off the 50, which is right on our order block on, it's either H1 or H1. If you notice on H1, I marked there's a zone here. Let me make it gray. I'm not sure if it's going to be visible. There we go. So if you open your H1, there's a candle which was left during that up move there. So if price can come and tap here, that's this setup will now become a high probability. Here I cannot buy. Yes, they can push up, but I cannot buy until I get a close above 14,250. At the same time, I've got this qualifies for a buy limit zone now. So let's check the exact price. So if we can have a buy limit at 14,205, 14,205, then I'm anticipating this price to come all the way up here to this zone here to around 14,350. I think that was also my target for yesterday. If that buy had happened, I was targeting 14,350 as the ultimate buy because I just wanted price to take this out, then continue pushing down. So that didn't happen, but today this is still like a TP area. This is an entry area. Current market price, I wouldn't advise much on it because price can still pull down all the way to 14,205. So let's rather wait for it here and see what happens. M30, again, that zone is very visible from the 30-minute time frame. From the 15 minutes, yeah, so if we can wait for this one on 14,205, I think that would be the better entry. And stop loss will have to come below the zone, so that will be around 14. Stop loss is quite big. If you're trading B1000, don't scale in before the price gets into profit. So stop loss will be 14. I would love to keep it at 14,180. So it's a 25 pip stop loss, right? So we have to get at least 50 pips plus on this trade. So with 0.20, just looking at the risk is $5 on the setup. So it really has to be worth it for us to take it, especially if the account is small. $5, anything above 5 will be big for a small account, because if you get another trade, you might not be able to take it because your drawdown would have been too big here. So the worst case scenario we can hold would be a $6 loss. But at the same time, I would advise us to get a reaction first, then jump into the trade as it is showing us that it's moving. That's the best way to have a better stop loss. But otherwise, if you use a limit, a buy limit, this is what you're looking at if you've got a small account with one position. So if you have two positions, your risk is going to be $10 if this trade doesn't play out, and that won't be so good. So let's rather wait. If an account is small, rather wait for a reaction first, then jump in as the price is showing motion. Then as it is moving, if we do break 14,250, then we can scale in maybe one or two more. Then we can hold and see if they can give us at least 50 to 100 pips on this particular setup. So I'm going to leave it on the H1. The reason I want to leave it here is because I just want to keep tags on today's highs. I want to see how they play. So also bear in mind, this price can also break below and actually continue pushing down. So just be, when you look at a setup, just look at both sides of what price can do. So that when that happens, if you're in a buy, you can cut your loss and not hold the loss for too long. So that's my view for B1. J10. J10, for some reason, after our Zoom yesterday, I noticed it just dropped, broke out of this. So now we are out of that choppiness and we can start to properly analyze it. So I'm just going to remove some of these lines here just to make this chart a bit more clearer. Okay, so what we have, let me just go to the daily. Got a zone here. So J10, we should just talk. Remember, say if you've got an account which is $50 plus, once you get there, you can trade J10, but you only need to take a high probability setup. Don't take anything else. Once you get a setup, first position 1.0. If your price is moving in your way, you add another 1.0. If price is continuing with the pattern, you should at least have these three positions. This will definitely double your account. This is tried and tested, but it's only applicable for accounts $50 plus. If you're using small accounts, then you need to use smaller lots here and not these ones. So for today, how I'm looking at it, let's see. Okay, this is the daily. So we're trading below the 30, meaning we are still leaning on the bearish side, still leaning on sells. So if you are leaning on sells, do we have anything to support a sell today? Let's see. We've got this zone here. So this is on the H4. This for me is supply zone. So we can look for sells if we get any way in that area there. So if we zoom in, the price there is around 85,500. I would say it's at 85,500. We should just pay attention to what price will be doing. If we get a nice rejection here, this is the 4-hour. We're going to look for a pattern confirmation on H1, and we're going to look for a pattern on the M15. Then we are going to execute. So I'm going to leave this on H1, and we wait for this price to get to 85,500. That's a point of interest. If we get here, so it's a big zone, as you can see, it's a 4-hour zone. We really need proper confirmation. H1 is to give us a proper rejection. M15 is to give us a proper pattern. Then if the risk is all right, we can take the trade on this one. But if it does something else, then we don't have a trade on J10. Then V2501S, let's see what's been happening the past few days. So it still seems like they still want to come down, even though we thought they could get to the 50 EMA up here. Price is trading around the 13 EMA, which means there can be a lot of stop hands. So this is basically what happens. If you see your price on your 13 EMA, especially on the 4-hour and the daily, just mark the zone, then wait, because usually on those areas, there's a lot of fake outs, manipulations, stop hands, because that's where people put their buy stops, sell stops, pending orders. So the dealer likes to take people out around that area before they move. So daily, we are on the 13 EMA, but we most likely leaning on sells based on the previous day's candle, because they took out liquidity here, they took out liquidity as far as here. So the chances of this price coming down, I feel like they can get a bit higher as we get more candles coming through. So 4-hour, you can see we had a peak. I drew this zone. I'm not sure what was my reasoning on this line. I drew, let me just go to H1 and see. Okay, I think I was leaning on buys because I was looking at this order block here like this. But if you check, there's a lot of noise happening here. So anything which happened was not clean. If we had bought here, short term, it was fine. But long term, price still came to take us out. So a lot of stop hands happening yesterday, nothing too clean. Today, leaning on sales. We need more confirmations though. So for now, I would say this price action is not really too clean or too clear for me. Let me just check the 3-hour candle. And usually once I start getting a setup like this, which is not too clear, I usually don't trade it, because I would rather trade something which I'm sure of than to try and force a trade on something which is not clear. So coming from this peak, the order block is here. Right, we got that break retest, so we're still leaning on sales, though I do not have an entry. So I'd rather wait for this to play out, maybe some more during the course of the day. We'll most likely get a setup either tomorrow or during the weekend. That's when this will become a bit clearer. So for now, nothing solid there. J10, we're waiting for it on 85,500. B1000, we're waiting for it on 14,205. B500, we're waiting for it. So B5 and B1, they almost look like they are the same. They've pushed up and we're waiting for a retracement. B5, they've pushed up, we're waiting for a retracement. So we're waiting for them around 50.70 area. C5 is pushing up. We leave it on H1 to wait for a reversal. C1, we wait for price to either get into a point of interest and respect it, or break our safe sell zone so that we can sell it. C3 is the only one I didn't look at because I don't think I'll trade it, but let me see if I've got anything solid here. So what I see is this supply zone there. Okay, so don't let the terminology confuse you. If you just see candles like this, you can just call it an order block. It's the same thing. A supply zone is where we sell from. A demand zone is where we buy from. Just to keep it simple. So this order block here is a supply zone because we look to sell. This is a demand zone because we can get buys from it. You get it? So we just try to keep it simple. Don't let the terminology confuse you. So here, I think this is a point of interest for possible sells, especially because it's the 4-hour time frame. So it's a higher time frame and it's a supply zone. If you look to the far left, it was also a zone here, which was broken aggressively, and we do not have a retest. So if we are to extend this minor zone here, we can also use it as a point of interest. It's around 3070. So if price gets there and we get a nice reaction, especially on H1, and we get a pattern on M15, then we can execute the sell. Either it will play out or it won't. So I still feel they might extend today's highs just to tap into that zone. You might be asking, where is the zone coming from? It's just coming from here. This candle here on the H1. That's where it's coming from. This was a demand zone. It's an order block, but I was viewing it as a demand zone, which was not retested for the buys. So it's also a minor zone. It's not a strong zone, as we say. If you notice, when price came here, they rejected it, then they broke it, came back to retest, coming into a zone above here, then they dropped. So apart from that, price never interacted with that area again, except for today. So if today they get into the same area, we've got a few confluences in that area. We've got the 200 EMA, we've got a 4-hour supply zone, and we've got that zone within that same area. So if we get a pattern here, we can look for a short-term sell. Why I'm saying short-term is because the price is currently trading about the 50 EMA. So this price could do this. They could continue pushing up. So we just want to be prepared for both scenarios. But either way, we can get a sell. It can be a short-term sell being a retracement, or it will be a long-term sell being a continuation of this downtrend, which was happening here. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Apart from that, I think that's all for today. I've got nothing else here to mention. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. So just wait and see if price comes to our points of interest. If price does something else, it simply means we don't have entries and we don't have trades for today. We simply have to wait for tomorrow. So if there's any questions, any additions, you can still send me messages in the Telegram group. You can still WhatsApp me if you've got my WhatsApp number. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you can still comment, share, like. Don't forget to subscribe. Apart from that, wishing you guys a very peaceful day. Good trading.